Hi everyone. So we're going to go ahead and get started on today's webinar. My name is Julie Rubel and I'm a graduate assistant here at the wellness team, and we're a part of the counseling and consultation services, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm also here with the health educator coordinator, Sarah Moscow, and her pronouns are she, her, hers as well. So today we're going to be talking about some tips and tricks on how to tackle procrastination. So procrastination is something that a lot of college students have experienced throughout their years, or maybe even you found yourself experiencing it in high school. So let's just go ahead and start off by saying, what is procrastination? So procrastination is the voluntary delay of a task despite the knowledge of how the delay may cause harm. So just by kind of reading that, I want to break it down for everyone. So, or voluntary. Voluntary means that you are making a conscious and active choice or decision. Now let's talk about the word delay. To delay, it means to put off or to lower your priority of this task. And just know that not all the delays are an act of procrastination, and some delays in your actions are even kind of wise and necessary. So for example, an unexpected type of situation, or maybe you're responsible for the well-being of children, pets, or loved ones, and maybe you're just not feeling well. So in these situations, the delay is necessary. Procrastination, on the other hand, is not. So one example I can kind of think of by saying that is when you're extremely ill and you have a paper due in a few days. You might take the time to instead focus on your well-being at the time. Drink some soup and take care of yourself. And instead of working on a paper tonight, you will work on it tomorrow. So that is a delay that is reasonable. And lastly, let's talk about the knowledge of how the delay may cause harm. So this means you are aware of how putting off a task is going to impact you. So moving on, what else should we know about procrastination? Procrastination is actually a habit. So we create these habits, and habits are actions that come to us naturally and require only a very small amount of effort. And so it's the same for procrastinating. It's really easy to procrastinate and have the mindset of, oh, it's fine, I'll do it tomorrow. On the other hand, not procrastinating requires a conscious commitment and effort to not do so. And so because of this, habits are really difficult to change, but it is possible to be done. And next, procrastination can negatively impact our health. So when I learned this, I was kind of shocked, but when we break it down, it kind of makes sense. So procrastinating, it does not make us feel good. But when we procrastinate, we experience a wide range of feelings: stress, anxiety, or maybe some guilt, and other feelings too. So these feelings are not an enjoyable experience or fun, and yet we still decide to procrastinate. And procrastinating, it can cause a bunch of stress, and stress, as we know, can be harmful to our bodies. Stress can impact our immune system and create a lot of symptoms. So some symptoms may be a headache, breakouts, stomach problems, or muscle tension. And there are many more. I do know that when I'm stressed, and a lot of times it's because of procrastinating, I feel extremely tight in my upper shoulders. I feel like I'm constantly hunched over and just extremely tense. And so those who are chronic or frequent procrastinators tend to delay the other type of health behaviors. And so this may be you exercising, eating well, but not getting enough sleep. My own personal example I can think of is, how many times have I tried to stick to a healthy routine and then I break it? And then I constantly have the mindset of, I'll start again tomorrow. And well, eventually, if I can tell you the truth, it doesn't really start for another week. So just keep that in mind. And this can impact us over time and in the long run. So overall, procrastination harms our health. And when I say health, I mean our physical and emotional health. And so procrastination is a problem with us not living our lives. And so when you procrastinate, you are pushing off your goals. And by not pursuing your goals, you are not engaging in what is important to you. So overall, you kind of are self-sabotaging and becoming probably your worst enemy against having the life that you want to live. So now I want to go ahead and read a quote that I found extremely interesting and relevant to this. I'm just going to read it word for word, and excuse my stutter because it is kind of difficult to read to me. So I left each of the sessions more convinced of the importance of dealing with procrastination as a symptom of existential discomfort, a discomfort that can only be addressed by our deep commitment to authoring the stories of our lives. To author our own lives, we have to be an active agent in our lives, not a passive participant for making excuses for what we're not doing. And when we learn to stop the needless, voluntary delay in our lives, we live more fully. It is time to make a commitment to engaging in your life, achieving your goals, and enjoying the journey. Time is too precious to waste. So this is by a Timothy Pychyl, I believe is how you pronounce it, and he's the author of the book that is listed below. And so it's basically just kind of saying that procrastination has a long-term impact on your overall health and your life, but we don't really realize this because we're procrastinating because we want to comfort ourselves in the moment, and your actions are going to impact you in the long run. And so now going back to the previous slide that we've talked about, and kind of with this new framework, procrastination is a form of a self-regulation failure. And so this means we're lacking on self-control in how we achieve our goals. We have difficulties in regulating our behaviors. And it's not just that we are having any type of difficulty in regulating our behaviors, it's that sometimes we are unwilling to regulate or act. So why do we do this? We want to feel good and have an immediate type of comfort right here and now. We want to run away from our negative types of feelings. We don't want to feel uncomfortable or experience our difficult emotions. I mean, who really wants that, you know? And instead, we're sacrificing our long-term goals for an immediate comfort. So the mindset is kind of put off the task for later and feel good now. And I'll just take a moment to kind of reflect on your own life and your behaviors. How many times have you done that? How many times has behavior impacted a grade or your work or relationships even? It's important to track our behaviors and hold ourselves accountable. And so now I'm going to pass off for the rest of the presentation to Sarah, and she's going to be discussing a bunch of strategies on how to tackle procrastination.
Thanks, Julie. Hi, everybody. It's Sarah again. And as Julie was saying, I'm going to go ahead and talk about what are some strategies to tackle procrastination. So I'm sure we all know, and we're all here because, yeah, we do the procrastination thing. And let me tell you, what's even more meta, I procrastinated on creating this procrastination presentation. So amongst you all, I am with you. I am a chronic procrastinator. I've done it for a very long time. But these strategies that I will identify you today have started to help me, and I feel as though they might be able to start helping you as well. I see in the chat, Marissa's all about, she's like, yes, I can't relate to that. Thank you, Marissa. You help me feel like I'm not alone. Oh, same with Julie. So let's go ahead and get started. And I really want to encourage you all to do these strategies in order. There's a scaffolding process, if you will, with building your skill set to tackle procrastination. Let's see. So the first step or the first strategy is really to identify your delays. So by delay, we mean what are those tasks, those projects, goals, activities that you procrastinate on? What are they? What are those things that come up and you're just like, you know, I'm gonna put it off. No, I don't want to do that right now. I'm gonna delay that. And remember, it's important to know which of these delays are indeed procrastination and that it's unnecessary for you to delay those, and which are necessary delays, as Julie gave some examples before about being sick and needing to hold off to take care of yourself. Once you've been able to identify what these delays are, the next thing I want you to do is to list the thoughts and feelings you experience that are associated with the task. So I'm sure writing papers are a huge delay. At least they certainly were for me. So if I were to take a moment to reflect on my experiences when I wrote papers, the thoughts and feelings that would come up for me would be stress. I don't know what I'm doing. This paper is so overwhelming. It needs to be 10 pages. I need 30 sources. I don't think I've ever had a paper with 30 sources. But even talking about that now, I'm feeling overwhelmed. But this is a first step. You want to identify the thoughts and the feelings. Once you do that, you could then reflect on the list you've put together and identify patterns. And I guarantee that when you look at your list, you will start to pull out a pattern. Oh, it seems that I tend to push things off when I don't understand the task. I tend to put things off when it reminds me of this stressful experience. And so, as just an example, you can identify or categorize your list like the image on the screen. So you can have one column that this is the task, the project, the goal, the activity, whatnot that I delay, procrastinate on. Then the second column, you can identify the thoughts and feelings that you have associated with that task. All right, so that is step 1/strategy 1. Let's go to the second one. The next thing you want to do is you want to discover your drive for committing to change, or essentially, what is your motivation to change? As we talked about with habits, habits are tough to change because they're really ingrained, they come naturally to you. So if you do truly want to change your procrastination habit, that desire has to come from within. And this means that you need an internal source of motivation rather than an external, such as somebody telling you what to do. So here's an example. I'm sure many of you might have been in this situation. Have you ever had your parent or guardian or an adult tell you to do a chore or something? Your immediate response was, I don't want to, but then you begrudgingly do the chore. Now compare that experience to when maybe you did the chore without that parent or adult telling you. Maybe you felt good doing that and thought that that parent or adult would be proud of you. That's a good feeling. It's a lot easier to do something when that motivation and that drive comes from within. And one of the best ways to help determine this motivation and your drive is to weigh the costs and the benefits. Often you will have a higher motivation to do something if that thing benefits you more, or if the benefits outweigh the cost. So ask yourself, what has procrastination costed you? How does procrastinating impact your goals or how you want to live your life? So for example, has procrastination impacted your happiness? Has it created more stress in your life or impacted your health? Maybe your finances, maybe your academics, heck, maybe even relationships in your life have been impacted by it. Now, on the other hand, what are the benefits of not procrastinating? What will you get out of this by changing that habit? Again, consider your goals and the things you want to do in life. Not procrastinating means you are more able to do those things and you are able to feel better and live well. I want to take a moment to revisit that list that was on the previous slide. With this step, step number 2, you can add the 2 columns you see there, the cost associated and the benefits. So not only have you identified the task or the thing you're procrastinating on and the feelings, you're now kind of having this thought process in your mind about trying to convince yourself that maybe this is a good thing to change. Maybe the discomfort is not as bad as I thought, and the benefits outweigh the discomfort. So the third step or the third strategy is to notice the signs and stay put. Okay, what do I mean by that? So, signs meaning what are the signs or flags in your life that indicate I'm about to start procrastinating? So when we want to procrastinate, we will either think or say, I'll do this later. When you think or hear yourself say this, know that that is a sign right there. This is a sign for you to recognize that you are wanting to procrastinate and that you don't want to experience the negative emotions associated with that task. So in that moment, instead of putting the task off, recognize the sign and stay put. Stay put and allow yourself to experience those emotions. So once you stay put, you then want to state your intention. And by that, I mean you're going to state what you're going to do instead of procrastinating. So you'll want to say to yourself, if I feel negative emotions when I face a task, then I will stay put and not put off a task or run away. You can also say, I will not give in to the feel good, which is not doing the task essentially. Now, I do want to acknowledge that it may sound silly to say some of these things out loud. I know the first time I started self-talk, I'm like, this is so dumb. Why am I talking to myself? And now I couldn't be happier that I do it because it's helped me to change a lot of habits in my life. But I would encourage you, just give it a try. Experiment. I mean, what do you've got to lose? The next thing you're going to want to do is list the things that you usually say or think that indicates procrastination. Now, I've given an example of the previous one, but some other examples could be, let's see, I feel more motivated to do this tomorrow, or I don't feel like it right now, or classics, I work better under pressure, or I've still got time. Oh, I see in the chat, Andrea, that's a good one. I'll just play my game for a few minutes. And then, well, a few minutes becomes an hour, becomes days, becomes, oh crap, the assignment is due in an hour. Not from personal experience or anything. All right, so number 4. Oops. The next step is to accept that your motivation does not need to match the task. So what does that mean? Essentially, when you say, oh, I don't really feel like it right now. I'll feel like it tomorrow. Well, the thing is that as human beings, we are very bad at predicting our emotions or our feelings that will happen in the future. So first and foremost, take a moment to expect that you will be wrong about predicting your motivation. It's just what happens. And when we try to predict that we will feel motivated later, we only do that so we could justify our current actions to help us feel better about procrastinating right now. It's to manage those feelings of guilt you might feel, and to also feel better in that moment. Now, research has indicated that your attitude will follow your behaviors. And essentially, if you're not feeling motivated to do a task, by just getting started, your motivation will change. Now, myself 5 years ago, 100% would have laughed at this because getting started at things was one of my biggest struggles. But now, from learning about procrastination habits and research, I now know that when I tell myself I can't get started, I just take one foot and I start moving, and the motivation follows. So that's why for step number 4, it says, accept that your motivation does not need to match the task. If you don't feel motivated in the moment, just get started and your motivation will follow. All right, number 5. What a great transition. It's all about getting started. And notice that I say get started rather than just do it. So I'm picturing the Shia LaBeouf meme, or even Nike. You know, they say just do it. Well, by telling yourself just do it, that can be overwhelming. I mean, I'm picturing again Shia LaBeouf. He's like yelling it at you. Like, that's pretty extreme. I see in the chat, Julie says, it makes me think of the gym. They say the hardest part is getting to the gym, not the workout. Yes, snaps to that, Julie. That's so true. It really is the getting started part. And saying just do it is really overwhelming. You start to think about everything and the entire task and how to do it, and it all just feels really daunting. And you may not feel like even getting started, or that you don't know how, or that you can't, but that's mostly because you were thinking more about those negative feelings and thinking about how overwhelming the task is. And the best way to tackle that is to find the smallest and simplest thing to get started. So on the previous slide, I stated that all I need to do is just put one foot in front of me, and then I'm able to continue moving forward. Maybe the next step is even simpler than that. I'm just going to take a breath, and then I'm going to take another, and then I'm going to get up and go and do the thing. Again, it's all about getting started. So here's another example, back to writing papers. Oh, the joy of paper writing. So picture this. You go to write your paper, but you end up just staring at the blank screen, that blank Word document. I'm sure it's very clear in all of your minds. And you're staring at it and you're like, I have no idea what to write first. And then you become overwhelmed, and then you find yourself in a spiral of cute animal videos on Facebook. Again, I swear I'm not talking from experience. It's hard to get started, but here's what you can do. When you're writing that paper, just write down the title of the paper. Maybe format it, start your resources page, jot down any thought that comes to your brain. The ball will then get rolling. And again, taking the first step by starting, I guarantee you will help. So next time you're struggling with that paper, just start writing out some words. All right, number 6, minimize distractions. Distractions. They are quite my favorite when I'm starting something. And that's really because as human beings, we are Very, very prone to distractions. I mean, right now I've got all the stuff on my desk, my phone is here, my cat's over there, and I'm like, stay focused. We're all very prone to distractions. And so with this in mind, you want to identify what are your distractions. What are those guarantee I know it's going to distract me? For myself, I know that having external noise or people nearby is guaranteed to distract me. So I always listen to music and have my headphones in. That helps me to focus. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's the internet. Identify what those are. Speaking of the internet, I discovered through putting this presentation together that cyber slacking is a thing. I mean, I knew that going down the internet hole to distract yourself when procrastinating is a thing, but it's actually called cyber slacking. And that's essentially when you procrastinate online. So why is this a common thing? Why the internet? Well, that's because the internet is so rewarding. There's so many cute cat gifs out there. You know, you just can't help yourself. And the internet is readily available. It's right there. It's this instant, immediate, rewarding gratification that pairs so well with that immediate feel-good feeling that we're looking for. So this is why it's important then, if you know you're a cyber slacker, is to log out of social media, turn off background apps, turn off your phone, remove those electronic distractions. And I do want to acknowledge that if someone told me you need to shut off your phone, I mean, to be anxiety and provoking in of itself. What if somebody needs to tell me something? I see Julie in the chat. Your phone's always next to you, more likely to scroll through TikTok. Exactly. So I want to acknowledge that, yes, I would encourage you to turn off those electronic distractions, but then schedule breaks. Schedule time to reward yourself for doing good on those tasks so that you kind of have that balance between, I'm not going to get distracted, but I am going to give myself some time later. Okay, number 7, exercise your willpower. So willpower is essentially self-discipline. It's the strength you have to push through something difficult, to control your impulses. It's kind of that self-regulation power we've been talking about. And you'll notice that I said exercise your willpower. Well, that's because willpower needs to be practiced. You need to develop this strength to push through the, I don't feel like doing X, Y, or Z. And to practice this, you want to choose something small that you could practice. So for example, from what I was reading, they recommended maintain a good posture the entire day. Or another good example they gave was use your non-dominant hand to eat. I mean, thinking about that just makes me think I will drop my ice cream when I eat it. But the key is that you really want to choose something small that you're going to be able to consistently practice with, something that you have to be mindful on with your focus. And again, to start small. So if I'm thinking of eating with my non-dominant hand, that just seems so awkward that I really have to focus on controlling and that discipline to be able to do that. And by doing so, you could build your willpower. Something that can also help you to boost your willpower is to remember your goals. So sometimes we are so tired from our day. As a college student, that could be a daily thing, or even now within a COVID-19 pandemic. If that's not a daily thing for you, I mean, snaps to you, you're doing something right. But when we have those days when we're so tired and we still have things to get done, take a moment to think about why that unwanted task, that task you're procrastinating, is important to you. How will it benefit you? What is your ultimate goal? So perhaps in college, you got that paper that's coming up that you really don't want to do it. Then you remember the why you have to do that paper. Well, it's so that I can learn about this thing that I want to do in my life. And so I got to start here to get there. Time to remember and to inspire yourself, if you will. And the last step or the last strategy is to practice self-care. Take care of yourself. Because once you take care of yourself and you feel well, you will do well. And when you're feeling well, then you're more able to implement that willpower, that ability to self-regulate, that ability to redirect your procrastination and not allow it to occur. So what are some ways you can take care of yourself? Well, the first is to eat well. And actually, research has shown that your ability to self-regulate and that willpower actually depends on how much blood glucose you have in your body. So if you're having a low amount of blood glucose or hypoglycemic, then you want to make sure that you're able to, I believe you want to have complex carbohydrates. To translate, eat a balanced diet and eat fruit, because those will absolutely help. You also want to sleep better. So in the previous slide, I was stating how if you're just always tired at the end of the day, maybe take a look at your sleep. And self-regulation also depends on your sleep, because if you don't have enough energy, then you're not going to have enough energy to fight the thoughts and emotions and manage them as you experience them. So it's recommended that you do get 7 to 8 hours of consistent sleep. So not just 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but consistently. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night or you get 2 hours here, 3 hours there, that won't be as effective as getting that consistent 7 to 8 hours. Also important to note that your ability to self-regulate, again, to redirect procrastination, is less effective at the end of the day. And simply put, it's just because you're tired. You've exerted so much energy. So if there's anything that you're looking to change a habit on or to not procrastinate on, maybe do it in the morning. Move more, move more. I can't emphasize this enough. Exercising and being active can actually lower levels of stress and improve your sleep quality. This then in turn will help your ability to self-regulate, manage emotions, and ultimately tackle procrastination. And last but not least, do what makes you happy. When you experience positive emotions, when you feel good, when you connect with others, this will help to recharge your willpower strength to then tackle the things that you want to do. So we're just about wrapping up. I have a couple more things, about 2 more slides, and that's it. So here I have my final tips for you all. First and foremost, when it comes to procrastination, you truly need to have a commitment and desire to change. As I was stating before, that internal drive is so important when it comes to making a change. And if you're having somebody else tell you that you need to change, it's not going to be as strong as it coming from you. Next, practice self-compassion. Changing your habits, especially procrastination, is tough. So go easy on yourself. You got a lot on your plate. There's a whole lot going on in the world right now. So be kind to yourself. Remind yourself that you are doing a great job and that you are only human. Mistakes are going to happen, but achievements will happen as well. Anticipate failure, as I was just saying. When you go to change a habit, or if you have a goal in your life, success is not a straight up arrow. It is a roller coaster of ups and downs. And when you anticipate that failure, then you kind of reframe your expectations. And again, it ties into that self-compassion. You're then telling yourself, yeah, it's totally common to fail and it's totally common to succeed. But all in all, I am learning and I'm growing. Second to last, ask for help. Reach out to your friends, your family, your support systems. Ask for help. I know it can be so hard to do that, especially when you're already feeling maybe isolated from the pandemic. But know that people are here to help you. Folks like myself here at Wellness, or even at Counseling and Consultation Services, we got into this business because we want to help. So please reach out for help if you need it. And lastly, I'd really encourage you to learn more about procrastination. There's so much out there to learn that this is only the tip of the iceberg. And if you really did enjoy today's presentation, I would encourage you to continue to join us through our Coping Through COVID-19 webinar series. Today we talked about procrastination, and next week we're going to talk a little bit more how to sleep better and some of the secrets we may have to unveil to you all. Last but not least, I have some resources for you all. So we have our information up on the screen. We are Student Wellness, which is a part of Counseling and Consultation Services. If you liked our presentation and you want to request one, we do take requests. You can email us or check out our website to fill out a request form. I also encourage you to check out Mission Wellness. You could Google NIU Mission Wellness, or maybe you get emails about them. And this is our health and wellness online magazine. Again, counseling and consultation services, they are available to help and support you in all aspects of your life. Health services, the campus rec can also help, Disability Resource Center, the Writing Center, they're all here to help and support you, as well as career services. Last but not least, the picture on the screen is the book that most of this information came from today. It's a pretty short read. I believe it's about 90 pages. So if you really enjoyed today's topic, if it really spoke to you, you really want to learn more, I would encourage you to find this book and read more. Timothy Pychyl is a renowned researcher in procrastination, and I would encourage you to read more about his wisdom. Other than that, Julie is going to go ahead and put the survey for our presentation in the chat. If you could please click on the link in the chat and fill out our survey. It really helps us to improve our presentations, to hear about what you want to learn more about, and how we could best meet all your needs. As stated at the beginning of this presentation, in a couple minutes, I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen. I'm going to turn my camera on. And if you got any questions or you want to hang out and chat with us about procrastination, please feel free to stay by. So I'll be back in just a second to do that. In the meantime, go ahead and click on the link in the chat to complete the survey. Thanks. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us and taking time to fill out the survey. If anybody has any questions and either wants to turn on their mic or turn on their cameras, feel free to do so now. You can also ask questions in the chat, but we'll just kind of be hanging out. Marissa, I'm glad that you thought that this was helpful, especially this time of the semester. I could not agree more. It's nearing the end, and let me tell you, end of the semester is like prime procrastination time.
So while I was listening to you present, and I had my own thoughts on like my apps and TikTok or whatever, because
yeah.
I always scroll through it. And I remember hearing about an app, it's like kind of like a locker, and it locks you out of apps for a certain period of time. So I'm trying to find that because it might be helpful. I don't know. So it's supposed to help with, staying off your phone, staying productive, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I'm picturing like an actual locker that you'll like buy online and then put your phone in, and oh my gosh. Has anyone ever had that? Like, if their teachers have done that before, or like their parents have done that before? Maybe it's just me. Samsung phones have a setting where you could set timers on apps. Really? Just something I use. Sandra, thanks for telling us. I had no idea that phones actually do that.
Yeah, that's great to know.
Does it like kick you off the app, or you're like not allowed to go on or something like that?
So actually, usually you can set the timer between as little as 5 minutes or as much as like a couple of hours. So let's say if you know you're spending like 4+ hours on TikTok and that's really bad, you can set the timer to put an hour limit. And so usually it'll pop up and say, it'll give you notifications. You have 5 minutes left on this app, and after the time, it'll kick you off. So whatever, if you're about to post something, for example, it'll kick you off. And it usually gives you the option if you want to add like 10 minutes or 30 minutes, which is kind of bad because you're like, oh, maybe 10 minutes more. But it can kind of regulate the time that you spend on that app. So at that point, sometimes you're like, okay, I already spent an hour on this. I need to stop. So that's till the end of the day, you're kicked off that app. You can't access it. There is ways around it, of course, but usually you want to kind of stick to that set time that you set for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Only a master procrastinator would say that there's a way around it. I know myself, if I want to stay on that app, I will find a way to be able to, because it's just so hard to regulate it, But Sandra, thank you for sharing. That definitely made me feel like I'm not the only one that spends maybe 4+ hours on my phone. And Julie, I saw you smiling there, which I can only guess that you felt that as well.
Yeah, so something that kind of resonated with me was just you're scrolling on whatever app it is, and the next thing you know, it's been an hour or an hour and a half. So I do think that some type of time limit, it might be beneficial with just like increasing your awareness on like how long you're spending time on your apps, and being like, hey, you've been scrolling through TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or whatever for an hour. It's time to cut back, or like put it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. That not only can those types of apps like help you to self-regulate and to create those barriers for yourself, but you could create that awareness that, oh wow, I've been on this app for a really long time, and to kind of start that thinking process. I see Marissa typed in the chat. Marissa said, sometimes I will just let my phone die without charging it. So every time I go to use it, I can't, and I'm forced to go back to do what oh, that is smart. I will tell you, my phone right now will die on its own because I just need a new phone. No distractions that way. Very true, Marissa. Very true. It's those distractions that are the worst, you know. Does anybody have any other thoughts that they want to share about what they learned today, or do you have any questions at all for us?
So I had a thought, and even though I'm a presenter, I did have a thought that like I was just kind of reflecting on my own experiences and how like procrastinating has affected me. Because kind of like you said, like I still struggle with it to this day as a college student and with lots of responsibilities. But I have noticed it has affected my sleep a lot when I procrastinate, because if I do procrastinate, then I go to bed and then I'm just kind of thinking about the fact that I procrastinated so much and now I have to do like 3 projects that are due tomorrow. And so it definitely impacts my sleep personally, just procrastinating. And this presentation like allowed me to reflect on that and just realizing that it's not just going to affect your grade or your schoolwork or whatever, but it does have the physical impacts as well.
That's so true. That's like one of the reasons why that big quote in the middle was so impactful, at least to me. Because it was like, oh, wait a second. These actions that I'm taking now, these things that I'm putting off, will impact me in the long run. It's inevitable. It's the human experience, and that's how health works, you know? I don't know if any of you have thought of this as well, but when I was younger, oh, I'll eat healthier when I'm older. Oh, when I'm an adult, I'm going to do this. Well, guess what, younger self? I'm what you call an adult now, which doesn't feel like that. But this is the time that I thought that I'd be doing the healthy thing and whatnot, and it's definitely not the truth. That's that lack of future forecasting with one's emotions and feelings. That's why it's so important to just start, just do the thing. Yeah. But thank you for sharing that, Julie. I do see the time and we do have to wrap up, but if you do have any other questions, please feel free to email us at bewell@niu.edu. I went ahead and put that in the chat. And we look forward to reviewing what you've put in the survey and if you have any feedback for us. But thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. And we hope we'll see you next week for Sleeping Well. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you then. No problem, Sandra. Thanks.